Oh my God, Marty Supreme is everything. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing A24's Marty Supreme. This is, of course, directed by Josh Safdie, who is one of the other brothers of the Safdie brothers. Earlier this year, we got Benny's film, The Smashing Machine, which I thought was decent, but Josh Safdie, we're now looking at you to see what you can deliver on your own. And particularly what I can say is that I'm a massive fan of Uncut Gems and Good Time. Like, I just absolutely love the vibe of those movies. And I've been curious to see what these two can do individually. And Benny, for the most part, has done a really good job acting. And The Smashing Machine, while I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I liked and loved The Rock's performance, but I really truly liked Benny's directing, and it was very different. Josh Safdie goes to a whole other level. And I really mean this when I say Marty Supreme is an absolute goddamn masterpiece. It is one of the best movies of this year. It's one of the best movies of this decade. It is one of my favorite things that I've watched. And genuinely enough, I think on repeat viewings, I could see this film solidifying itself as one of my favorite movies of all time, as it very much has the feeling of Catch Me If You Can, one of my favorites. Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorites as well. And Uncut Gems, of course. All of that mixed into one bottle, shaken up into such a chaotic film that has such a vibrancy to it, and truly enough blew my mind away. Marty Supreme is everything. But with that said, if you don't know what Marty Supreme is, well, it's about Marty Mauser, a young man with a dream to be the best ping pong player out there, and no one respects him, but he goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. Now, this is technically a sports biopic, but it's so much more than that. And I think the thing that I really felt from this movie was honestly inspiration, even if Marty is kind of a dick and an absolute asshole in and throughout this entire film. But there is this kind of sense of inspiration. And for me, what I was so impressed by within this movie, and to start out with the obvious, is Timothee Chalamet's performance. Now, I've said multiple times on this channel how much I absolutely love him as an actor. I think he just continues to impress. He should have won an Oscar already, specifically for Beautiful Boy, which is my favorite performance of his. I really loved him in A Complete Unknown, and I was so happy that he won the SAG Award for that, which his speech, absolutely incredible too. I think he got way too much shit for that. And of course, when you look at Wonka or even Dune, he can do these bigger IP'd films, and Dune particularly is like a film that I just genuinely believe he just becomes Paul Atreides. Every single one of these characters that he absolutely embodies himself in, and Marty Supreme is no different. Marty Mauser is easily his best performance yet, to such a high degree. But to even state, because that's kind of an obvious, and I think you would assume that, to put this into context, though, Marty Mauser, like his performance of Marty Mauser is not just one of his best performances. I genuinely think it's like top 3 performances of this decade so far, as well as on my personal preference. I would put this in like one of my top 15 performances of all time for me. Like, genuinely. The energy I got from in here is absolutely embodiment of what Leonardo DiCaprio did with Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street, which if you haven't watched me for a while, Wolf of Wall Street is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that performance is one of my favorites of all time. I absolutely love what Leonardo DiCaprio did with that performance, and Timothée Chalamet is no different here. Marty Mauser is such an interesting, fascinating character, and one that I absolutely loved watching. And Josh Safdie's direction in here and writing and bringing this character to life is unlike anything I would have expected. And Timothée Chalamet just absolutely dreams big with this. I cannot believe how incredible he is in this. Like, I knew he would be good. I didn't expect him to be this fucking good. And before I really jump over into Josh Safdie's direction, I do want to give a shout out to the rest of the cast in here. So Odessa Azian, I thought was also fantastic in here. She's so freaking good. There's a whole segment with her that I was absolutely a massive fan of. Tyler, the Creator, shows up in here. Again, has an awesome segment throughout here that I really like. Kevin O'Leary, of course, a lot of people are going to talk about. He said some things that I don't personally agree with in the film sphere, but Josh Safdie got a good performance out of him, and he has some really good moments. But Gwyneth Paltrow in here, what? Incredible. We all know she's fantastic. She's done some weird things with some candles that I don't really want to talk about on this channel, but she is incredible. Incredible. And all of these actors match Timothée Chalamet's energy to such a high degree. And there's countless other actors in here that very much add to that nuance that I think the Safdies have just always been really great at casting their movies, specifically with side characters and even background characters that fill in the world so much more. And that is where I want to go to Josh Safdie's directing in here, which very much feels like Good Time and Uncut Gems, but unrestrained. It feels so much more flowy and free of anything else. And I'm not saying that's because of his brother, but they felt so much more contained in terms of story and budget. And I'm not sure if Marty Supreme had a bigger budget. It feels like it massively did. But to that degree and honesty, it just feels like this is his odyssey, his sports odyssey. And in a way, even though it is a sports biopic, it's more of an inspiration odyssey for one man who just wants to dream big and hit that pursuit of greatness. And I think when you look at this movie, that is what this movie is an odyssey of. It is an odyssey of the pursuit of greatness, an epic to all standards in that degree, no matter how wild, no matter how chaotic, no matter how insane, no matter how crazy this movie can get, which it can. There were multiple points in this movie where my dropping on the floor from something that had just occurred, where I was just like, what is that? What is happening right here? And it always blew my mind, but never to a degree that took me out of what was happening in the movie. It always was just such a baffling and crazy thing, but it added to the intensity, the scarcity, the everything of what Marty Mauser is and his chaotic feeling, what he brings to the table, what he brings and does to other people. That energy that surrounds this character always spirals out to other situations that are going on, and they feel believable because it's what Marty needs to do to get to the pursuit of greatness. And again, Josh Safdie's directing and writing there just is an outstanding. This through line. He makes a 2.5 hour movie feel like an hour and a half. It's again one of those movies that I instantly would have jumped right back into and rewatched because of how goddamn paced it is, how well it's paced, and how incredible the movie is. Within the first like 10 to 15 minutes, I was already locked in, from the dialogue to the direction to specifically Timothee Chalamet's performance. And as the film continued, it just never let me go. This is seriously one of those movies that it's a feeling that I have, a high that I'm on, a cloud nine high leaving this theater. It's a movie that I want to recommend to every single person because of how much I loved it. And I genuinely believe that eventually this movie will skyrocket into my top 10 of all time. It just matched my energy. It matches the type of movies I love. And it feels in a lot of ways that this movie was truly made for me. And I fucking loved it. Alongside this, the editing is absolutely perfection. The way that some of the camera angles and the cinematography just captures so many of these different moments, specifically when it comes down to the ping pong tournaments. Those are absolutely incredible. But a lot of the high intensities of different sequences and just seeing Marty get around and how he's able to afford and do certain things and like con people into other things. It's crazy and wild. Another thing that also stuck out to me was, in fact, the score, which is just absolutely amazing and adds the high intensity to these moments. The sound design is also fantastic. But the last thing I really want to talk about is, as chaotic and as crazy as this movie, as I'm stating it out to be, the movie, by the end of it, without getting into spoilers, really struck a chord with me. And in a way, as big of an asshole and as big of a douche as Marty Mauser is in this movie, and you'll see him do a lot of things in this film, when I got to the end of the film, I somewhat understood. I related to him. I, maybe not in all the categories, but I related to him. And in the way that I interpret the ending, I felt it. I got it. I got what he was going for. Because, in fact, it's the same way. I live my life for the pursuit of greatness. Not just for me, but for my family, for my wife, for my son. And Marty Supreme like struck a chord with me, inspired me in some way, shape, and form. Throughout all the baffling bullshit that he puts other people through. I just loved this movie. Loved it. And that ending was not something I was expecting, but it was something that was absolutely needed. And it brought a whole other layer to not just Timothee Chalamet's Marty Mauser and his performance, but specifically the film thematically. And God, I love this movie. I have no issues with this movie, and I think Marty Supreme is everything you want from a movie. It's a chaotic masterpiece that carries the energy of Catch Me If You Can meets The Wolf of Wall Street and Uncut Gems. Timothee Chalamet gives one of the best performances of this decade as he truly goes on and dreams big. I'm on such a high right now. I absolutely love this movie, and so with all that said, I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 5. Once again, guys, for watching this, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. I know I was really hyped through this one because I really was. I was so excited to get home and talk about this film. Can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. And of course, until next time, stay classy.